Hello and good evening viewers. You're watching the news on Sansad TV live at 9 p.m. I'm Bhawna Nayar. These are the latest headlines of this Tuesday. Prime Minister Modi urges focus on people-centric development, asserts that cities cannot benefit by election-oriented thinking. Disruptions in Parliament and Vidhan Sabha are worrying for democracy, says Vice President in an address to the Rajasthan Assembly, urges introspection by political parties. New chapter begins in Srinagar, Kashmir's first multiplex in 3 decades, inaugurated by Lieutenant Governor. UN General Assembly meeting begins, discussions to focus on Russia-Ukraine conflict and food and energy crisis. External Affairs Minister Jaishankar to represent India. And Gujarati film directed by Pan Nalin, Chalo Show is named India's entry at the Oscars. Let us get to you some more important news in our flash segment. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman addresses Global Fintech Conference, says India moving fast on solar and wind energy. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh holds bilateral meet in Egypt. Both sides agree to expand cooperation between defence industries. Domestic travellers doubled in last 8 years, 244 million from 73 million in 2013-14. Over 216 crore 83 lakh vaccine doses administered under vaccination drive. 13 lakh 10,000 doses administered in last 24 hours. Union Minister Mandavia urges chemicals and petrochemical sector to make India a global manufacturing hub. BJP President JP Nadda addresses BJP Kisan Morcha, asserts that centre has taken many initiatives to empower farmers. Record-breaking Russian cosmonaut Valery Polyakov dies at the age of 80. Polyakov spent 437 days orbiting Earth on Mir space station. Typhoon Nanmadol damages Japan's Aerospace and Exploration Agency Space Center. 1.3 lakh homes still without power. 7.6 magnitude earthquake strikes Mexico, hits on 19 September, the anniversary of 2 devastating earthquakes in 1985 and 2017. And diplomats and human rights advocates at UN General Assembly call forceful action against China on report alleging crimes against humanity. And let's get you our top story now. Prime Minister Narendra Modi urged the mayors of BJP-ruled urban bodies to plan holistic development of cities. He said this while addressing a 2-day BJP mayors conclave in Gujarat's Gandhinagar through video conferencing. He said that elected representatives should not think just in terms of winning polls, as cities cannot be developed with an election-centric approach. The Prime Minister asked them to work for the betterment of their cities through people's participation. He also asked mayors to focus on planned urban development, building economic centres, better urban transport and housing and cleanliness in their cities. He also said that BJP government is focusing on building smart amenities in the cities.
सबका विश्वास और सबसे महत्वपूर्ण बात है सबका प्रयास। ये जो वैचारिक परिपाटी भाजपा ने अपनाई है, वही हमारे शासन के, गवर्नेंस के मॉडल के, डेवलपमेंट के मॉडल के, हमारे शहरी विकास में भी वो झलकती है।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi said the fintech sector needs to work relentlessly on safety and reliability to uphold trust of the people. In his message at the Global Fintech Fest, Prime Minister Modi said, innovation for inclusion has been the mantra of the government. He hailed the success of UPI in making digital payments and India's global rise in the fintech and startup space as a hub of innovation and investment. The Prime Minister said there is a need for continued focus to empower the poorest of the poor by taking quality financial services to them.
With the inclusion of young non-metro users who are driving.
The high-level United Nations General Assembly session opened in New York. Leaders from across the globe have gathered in the US city to discuss challenges facing the world, including the war in Ukraine, food and energy security, climate change, and nuclear disarmament. The 77th session of the UNGA is taking place after a gap of 2 years due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Leaders from more than 150 countries are attending the United Nations General Assembly meeting. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar is representing India at the session. He will address the UNGA on 24th September. UN Security Council reforms are on India's top priority during the session. External Affairs Minister is also holding several bilateral and multilateral meetings on the sidelines of the UNGA session. He participated in the first India-UAE-France trilateral ministerial meeting with focus on a new and more contemporary way of doing diplomacy. He also reiterated India's deep commitment to multilateralism during his meeting with President of the 77th session of the UN General Assembly, Chaba Kuroshi. And the long wait is finally over for the people of Jammu and Kashmir. They will now get to watch their favorite films on the big screen with the launch of Valley's first multiplex. The multiplex was inaugurated by Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha in Sonawar area of Srinagar, ending the 3-decade wait of movie buffs in the Union Territory. Congratulating the people of J&K, Sinha said that it is a major part of socio-economic revolution that began 3 years back.
नई फिल्म पॉलिसी है और स्थानीय नौजवानों के लिए उसमें विशेष प्रावधान हमने किए कि वो अगर कोई फिल्म बनाएंगे, छोटी फिल्म भी बनाएंगे, तो उन्हें हम काफी इंसेंटिव देने जा रहे हैं ताकि स्थानीय लोगों को रोजगार भी मिल सके, लोग इससे जुड़ भी सकें.
The first multiplex in Kashmir will have 3 movie theatres with a total capacity of 520 seats. The premises will also have a food court aimed at promoting the local cuisine. The LG said multi-purpose cinema halls will soon be opened in each district under the government's Mission Youth. Decorum and discipline are the heart and soul of democracy, Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar stressed today. He urged the legislators to set high standards through their conduct. Dhankar said this while addressing the members of Rajasthan Legislative Assembly during a felicitation ceremony organized in his honor in Jaipur. Expressing concern over disruptions in legislatures, the Vice President urged the political parties to resolve their differences through consensual approach. Dhankar said that reputation of people's representative and efficiency of parliamentary institutions is critical to flourishing of democracy. He also called for taking inspiration from quality debates of our constituent assembly.
जिनको डेमोक्रेसी को पनपाना है, बचाना है, वही यदि डेमोक्रेसी के लिए बड़ी चुनौती बन जाए, इससे दर्दनाक दृश्य देश के सामने कोई हो नहीं सकता. राजनीतिक दलों को इस अत्यंत विशेष मुद्दे पर एक साझा मंच पर आने की आवश्यकता है. सर्वसम्मति का दृष्टिकोण दिखाने की आवश्यकता है.
Continuing, Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar underscored the need for transparency and accountability at every stage of governance for democracy and economy to flourish. Addressing the 49th National Management Convention of All India Management Association, the Vice President praised India's achievements in tackling the COVID-19 epidemic, ensuring ease of doing business, economic reforms, and securing the presidency of the G20 group. He said India has never received the kind of attention at the global level that it is doing now. The Vice President also lauded the role of industry in improving efficiency in the economy.
Democracy and economics and economy can thrive, blossom, yield results only in an ecosystem that is transparent and accountable.
Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said it is regrettable that developed countries have not honored their $100 billion commitment to tackle climate change challenges. She said cooperation is needed on the issue at the global level. The Finance Minister was addressing the FICCI Leads 2022 program. She said that despite consensus on the issue, there has been no transfer of technology or money from developed countries. The Finance Minister also pointed out that India has fulfilled its commitments made in COP21 with its own resources. The country is slowly moving towards adopting renewable energy. Let's listen in.
So the future, as we see, of finance in India is going to be driven more and more through digitization of the banking and related services. It is more looked at from the point of view of the account keeper, the depositor, the person who wants the credit from the bank, and also from the point of view of expanding savings and borrowings in a synchronized fashion.
Gujarati coming-of-age drama Chalo Show is India's official entry for the 95th Academy Awards, the Film Federation of India announced today. Titled Last Film Show in English, the movie will release in theatres countrywide on 14th October. Directed by Pan Nalin, the film will represent the country in the Best International Feature Film category at the Oscars. The story is inspired by Nalin's own memories of falling in love with movies as a child in rural Gujarat and is set in the remote rural village of Saurashtra. As part of Hindi Pakhwada 2022, the Lok Sabha Secretariat today organized the self-composed poem recitation in the auditorium of Parliament House Annex. Various participants took part in the organization. Another news from across the nation now. The Election Commission has proposed to cap cash donations of political parties at 20% or a maximum of 20 crore rupees and bring down anonymous donations from rupees 20,000 to rupees 2,000. Chief Election Commissioner Rajiv Kumar has reportedly written to Union Law Minister Kiran Rijiju proposing the amendments in the Representation of People Act. President Draupadi Murmu has cleared director-level appointments to 8 Indian Institute of Technologies IITs. IIT Madras Professor Seshadri Shekhar has been appointed as director of IIT Palakkad, while another IIT Madras Professor Shripad Karmalkar will be the new director of IIT Bhubaneswar. The Supreme Court has upheld the validity of the Haryana Sikh Gurudwaras Management Act 2014. It dismissed a petition filed by the Shiromani Gurudwara Prabandhak Committee SGPC challenging the constitutional validity of the law enacted by Haryana. Civil Aviation Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia said over 90 airports will be carbon neutral by 2024, while the number of airports will rise to 220 in the next 5 years. Scindia said 2 of our airports, Delhi and Kochi, are already carbon neutral, and India will have 92 to 93 carbon neutral airports by 2024. The Aviation Ministry aims to achieve net zero emissions by 2030. Congress General Secretary K.C. Venugopal met AICC Chief Sonia Gandhi reportedly on the organizational polls in the party. Venugopal, who had been participating in the Padyatra in Kerala, flew down to the national capital to meet Gandhi at her 10 Janpath residence. Time for a short break here, but a lot more coming up on the other side. You stay tuned to Sansad TV for more news.
Nature and You, the Environment Series. Aim is to awake and aware people to protect our environment, be it climate or wildlife crisis, depletion of ocean resources, waste management issues. Only on Sansad TV.
The glorious journey of India's 75 years of independence, protection of rights, ensuring equality, to empower, to deliver justice. Laws that have defined India and its people. Laws that everyone should know. Watch 75 years. Laws that shaped India. With me, Hemant Batra, only on Sansad TV.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching the news. Thank you for staying in. It's time for updates from Russia-Ukraine battlefront. Earlier this month, Ukraine launched its counter-offensive, successfully recapturing large swathes of territory in and around its second-largest city of Kharkiv. Izium is one such city that was liberated by the Ukrainian forces. Under Russian occupation since the beginning of the war, the city bears harrowing signs of war, including a massive mass gravesite. Here are the details.
Picking up the pieces. These are residents of Izium struggling to return to normal life after their city was liberated from the Russian control on 10th of September. The city continues to bear scars of war everywhere. Broken bridges, shattered school and residential buildings are telltale signs of the battle. The residents are still emerging from the trauma of 6 months of occupation, the brutality of which became evident from the discovery of a huge mass grave site. With winters around the corner, the residents are trying to salvage firewood from the rubble of the school building that was turned into a Russian base and mechanic shop during the occupation. It will be months, if not longer, before the city will have a meaningful electricity, gas and running water. However, hope arrived on Monday in form of a mail truck. Over 100 people gathered around it, waiting for their first postal delivery since February. Many of the packages contained essential goods, including warm clothes for winters, sent by their families and friends. On the southern outskirts, where the 5 caste battles raged, the entire village of Kamyanka is a hazard of explosives. Only 10 people remain out of the 1,200 who live there. Almost every yard is scattered with bombs and bullets. A Russian rocket launcher is rusting away in someone's driveway. When the war began nearly 7 months ago, about half of 40,000 citizens fled. The rest moved into basements or behind the thickest walls they could find. The Russian occupiers also scattered countless mines, which Ukrainian soldiers are detonating one at a time. Bureau Report, Sansad TV.
And time for today's global updates now. The Taliban and the United States completed a prisoner swap with Taliban senior member Bashir Nurzai being exchanged for an US veteran. After being released, Nurzai arrived in Kabul on Monday. Here are more details in the report. The Afghan interim government held a welcome rally for Taliban senior member Bashir Nurzai, who arrived in Kabul on Monday. Afghanistan's acting foreign minister Amir Khan Muttaqi said at a rally that the US released Nurzai in exchange for American engineer Mark Fredericks. Nurzai was released in exchange for Mark Fredericks, an American contractor who held hostage in Afghanistan for more than 2 years by the Taliban. The White House and family members said on Monday that his release came in an exchange for Nurzai, who is a convicted Taliban drug lord.
There had been negotiations for more than 2 years across successive presidential administrations to get Mark Fredericks home. The Taliban had made clear for a long time that the only way to do that was to release Bashir Nurzai.
In a press conference announcing the prisoner swap, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken sent a message to detained Americans and their families.
I want the families of Americans who are being arbitrarily detained or held hostage anywhere in the world to know that our commitment to them, to bringing their loved ones home, is resolute.
Nurzai is considered as a key associate to the founder of Taliban, Mullah Umar. Being accused of drug smuggling, He was arrested in New York 17 years ago and then was sentenced to death by a US court. As a Navy veteran and an engineer, Frericks went to Afghanistan multiple times since 2012 and he was detained by Taliban in February 2020. Bureau Report, Sansad TV. Moving on, a powerful magnitude 7.6 earthquake struck in western Mexico, killing at least one person and caused panic in the country's capital on the anniversary of two previous quakes. The two previous quakes had caused widespread damage, killing hundreds of people in 1985 and 2017.
A magnitude 7.6 earthquake shook Mexico's Central Pacific coast on Monday, on the anniversary of two earlier devastating quakes. One person was killed in the port city of Manzanillo, Colima, when a wall at a mall collapsed. A seismic alarm sounded in the rattled capital. There were reports of damage to buildings from the quake, which hit at 1 p.m. local time. The 7.5 magnitude earthquake was centered 37 kilometers southeast of Aquila, near the boundary of Colima and Michoacan states, and at a depth of 15.1 kilometers. Based on historic data of tsunamis in Mexico, variations of as much as 32 inches were possible in coastal water levels near the epicenter. The magnitude 8.0 quake centered near the coast of Guerrero State in 1985 that killed at least 9,500 people. More than 360 people died in the magnitude 7.1 quake that struck in 2017. Bureau Report, Sansad TV.
At least 11 children were killed and 15 more are missing after army helicopters shot at a school in northern Myanmar. Myanmar military government said it had been an attack on insurgents they claimed were hiding in the school in Yet Kon village.
Government helicopters attacked a school and village in north-central Myanmar, killing at least 13 people, including 7 children. Civilian casualties often occur in attacks by the military government on pro-democracy insurgents and their allies. However, the number of children killed in the air attack last Friday in Tabaing Township in Sagaing region appeared to be the highest since the army seized power in February last year, ousting the elected government of Aung San Suu Kyi. The army's takeover triggered mass nationwide protests, which were, however, non-violent. Fighting has been especially fierce in Sagaing, where the military has launched several offensives, in some cases burning villages, which displaced more than 500,000 people, according to a report issued by UNICEF this month. Friday's attack occurred in Letiet Kon village in Tabaing, also known as Debaing, about 110 kilometers northwest of Mandalay, the country's second largest city. Bureau Report, Sansad TV.
More international news now in Global Wrap. Protesters and police faced off in the western Iranian city of Mahabad on Monday amid widespread protest over the death of a young woman in custody. The morality police detained 22-year-old Amini last Tuesday for not covering her hair with the Islamic headscarf known as hijab, which is mandatory for Iranian women. Protests erupted that after her funeral, and police fired tear gas to disperse demonstrators on Saturday and Sunday. South Korea staged a large-scale live-fire military demonstration on Tuesday as part of Defense Expo Korea 2022 near the demilitarized zone separating the two Koreas. Military vehicles, tanks, armored vehicles, multiple rocket launchers and attack helicopters were mobilized for the exercise. The expo is set to open from Wednesday. 350 exhibitors will showcase various products. Palestinian gunmen clashed with Palestinian Authority security forces in the occupied West Bank on Tuesday. One man was killed in the confrontations. The clashes broke out after the arrest of 2 militants. Islamist armed group Hamas, rival of the Western Bank Palestinian Authority, said the PA had arrested one of its senior members wanted by Israel and another gunman in the city of Nablus. Hungary said it needs time and is urging European Union partners to be tolerant after the bloc announced that funding worth 7.5 billion euros could be suspended over concerns possible mismanagement of EU money. Hungary said that it is considering 17 measures capable of remedying all the concerns expressed by European Commission. Bodies of at least 14 sperm whales were found along a beach of southeastern Australia's King Island. The whales were all young males and already dead when they were first reported on Monday. Authorities are looking into how to remove the bodies, but they may be left to decompose naturally since the surrounding rocky environment may hamper access of vehicles to lower the carcass away. And now the latest from the world of sports. The use of saliva to polish the ball was today banned permanently as the ICC announced a slew of changes to its playing conditions which will come into effect on October 1st. Running out of the non-striker by the bowler has been removed from the unfair play section. India are taking on Australia in the first T20I at Mohali. Batting first after being put in, India set a target of 209. All-rounder Hardik Pandya top scores with 71 not out of 30 balls. A confident Indian women cricket team will back itself to seal its first series victory in England since 1999 with another win over the host in the second women's ODI at Canterbury on Wednesday. India won the first match by 7 wickets. Smriti Mandhana rises to career best second position in T20Is. Ranked 7th in ODIs, Mandhana aggregated 111 runs in the 3-match T20I series against England. And Yuvraj Singh to mentor New York Strikers franchise, Kieran Pollard named icon player. The Strikers franchise has had a successful stint as a cricket franchise in the USA. And that's a wrap of today's Bulletin The News. Keep watching Sansad TV for more updates and informative programs. Thank you for watching. Goodbye. Namaskar.